Hey everyone, it's Julian, and we have a fun deck to show you guys today. It is pure Earth Rite Rune. There's a kind of mixed build going on around right now with Spell Boost and Earth Rite. This is just going to be the pure version. I like this version a lot. Actually, I feel like it has some pretty good matchups into a couple decks. A lot of the aggressively leaning sword decks, this is really good into. A lot of the other aggressive decks is really good into. You have 20 bajillion heals, right? And you actually have a couple ward cards that can really stave off some of that aggression. And I just really like the play style of this deck, and it's not too hard. That's kind of why I like it, right? But we're going to get into it here, but before we do, if you guys are liking the content, if you guys are excited for more Shadowverse stuff, please like and subscribe. That would really help me out. We're a couple days away from SVO, which is the first very big official Shadowverse tournament. I am in both of them in the weekend. We're going to be streaming a lot the next couple days, and of course on that day. So if you want to catch me doing all of that, doing more content for that kind of stuff, please like and subscribe. It would really help me out. Okay, let's get into the deck list. Very fun one. And I saw some comments, and I do apologize, but we fixed it. Here's the QR code for y'all. And I moved my face cam to not block everything. So here's the right side of the deck, right? But we're going to move over to the left. So let's start with the Witch's New Brew. I call this Witch's Cauldron a lot because that is kind of the original version from Shadowverse 1. This is one drop, Earth Sigil, draw a card. Just a really good card. One of the kind of interesting things about this game right now is there's not a lot of good turn one plays. So any deck that's able to have a good turn one play is really nice because, you know, half the time you're going first, right? So really like Witch's New Brew. This is just kind of an auto-clued in any Earth Rite deck, right? It's also kind of an auto-clued in Spell Boost. But yeah, that is Witch's New Brew. Start your stacks stacking, right? Next card is the Apprentice Astrologer. This is Ruby, but slightly better. So it's a 2-drop 2/2. Fanfare, select a card in your hand and return to your deck. Draw a card, and then gain Earth Sigil. So it's like Ruby, but you gain one Earth Sigil. Just a really nice early game sigil generator. You really need to start stacking those sigils for late game. And another thing I really like about this deck is it's more of a mid-range deck. You have a lot of early game bodies to really play into a lot of matchups, right? So if you're in a matchup where they're kind of going slow, you can kind of go a little faster with some of these 2s and 3s. And then if they are going, you know, a little faster, you have enough stuff, enough early game options to stave off the aggression, hopefully, right? And then get into your late game heals with the Norman and stuff like that. So next card we have is Penelope. Let's show the gold one. Penelope, 2-drop 2/2. On play, gain 2 Earth Sigils. And then she has a really interesting Supervolve effect. On Supervolve, draw 2 cards, restore 2 events to your leader, and gain 2 Earth Sigils. So she's not going to be Supervolving a lot, but this is something to keep in mind when you're playing against Earthrite, is usually she is going to be the main target for you if there's a couple 2/2s on the field, because this is the only card that has an Evo effect, right? Because the other 2-drop, the Melvi that we'll talk about here soon, does not have an Evo effect at all, and obviously the Astrologer did not either. So if you are playing against this deck, just make sure to take out the Penelope first if it's like a choice between a couple other 2/2s or a couple other same stats, right? And then overall, like, this is just a really nice Earth Sigil, you know, feeder. This card is really allows you to have the AoE open for the Sagelight Teachings on Curve, which we'll talk about in a second. But yeah, really like Penelope. Just kind of an auto-clued in most Earthrite decks. Next, we have Melvi. This is a new card. I really, really like this card. 2-drop 2/2. On play, you add a Witch's New Brew to your hand. And the Witch's New Brew, of course, was the 1-drop, right? So we're going to be able to get a card that draws us a card. I really like that on a 2-drop. Fully statted, by the way, 2-drop 2/2. And then a niche effect, if there's a Super Evolved ally follower on the field, gain 2 Earth Sigils. Doesn't come up sometimes, but not a ton. But yeah, Melvi is really nice, and this is sort of our fighter collection, right? This is our 2-drops. I would say Melvi is like the best one, right? Because you just get another card that draws you a card. And then Penelope's really good. And then Apprentice Astrologer is kind of there to fill some slots. If you were to replace any of these, I would replace Astrologer first. But usually decks that have all of these really nice built-in 2-drops are pretty good. So really like that. Then we move on to 3-drops. We actually only have 1 3-drop. That is something that I'd really love to change. There is a owl, what's his name? Owl mage or something. That's kind of interesting. But yeah, let's talk about the Sage Light Teachings. Everyone knows this card. 3-drop, spell, choose a mode to activate. Gain 4 Earth Rite sigils. Restore 4 defense to your leader, or Earth Rite 3, deal 4 damage to all enemy foes. So obviously a lot of people know this from the healing, right? This adds so much healing. This is basically 12 health in your deck. And then the Earth Rite effect is kind of hard to get off in spell boost decks, but in Earth Rite, of course, that's the whole point of the deck. And if you play into an aggro matchup, if you go Witch's New Brew Penelope, and then you Sage Light AoE the board, you're really far ahead. You are really, really far ahead. So really like that. That's just, one of the most flexible cards in your deck right now, and something you just want to have a lot. It gives you a lot of options, right? You even have the Gain 4 Earth Sigil option as well, in case you need to get into your little Anthem and make her basically unkillable. So Sage Light Teachings, one of the better cards in this deck. Next we have, I believe this is a basic card, right? Is this from the basic set? Yes, this is a basic card. So really cool to see these kind of strong basic cards. But Rami, Two-Faced Witch, 4-drop, 4/4. So basically fully statted 4-drop. I guess the other 4-drops we have is like the Goliath, who's like a 4/5 ward. But on play, she has Earth Rite 1, summon a Guardian Golem. And of course, the Guardian Golem is a 3/3 ward. So just on the face value, this is a great on-curve card, right? So like you can imagine a curve where you go first, you go New Brew, one of your 2-drops, another one of your 2-drops, or Sage Light Teachings to answer the board if you hit Penelope, right? And then Remy and Rami to really lock up that early game board. This creates a board that's really hard to deal with. And of course, she has a really interesting super evolve that makes her kind of relevant in the late game, where she's going to select an enemy file on the field and evolve it and give it +3/+3. So that is basically +5/+5 to your 3/3 golem, right? So on play, you can play this, and you basically summon a 7/7 super evolve and an 8/8 normal evolved ward. Really strong in that mid to late game if you really are trying to push the aggression. You're trying to, there's a lot of matchups like against the aggressive decks, right, where you don't really need to hoard your super evo points. So if you're just able to, hey, set up this huge board that if you don't kill me next turn, I kill you, that's as good as sort of using super evolves on some of your later stuff like Kuan on 10, right? So really like this. I would say this is more of a tech option for the aggro decks, right? Because having a 3/3 body or 3/3 ward that they have to get through before they can even get to your face, and then you have a 4/4 that can trade into stuff later on. Really, really nice. I really like this card. Again, another thing is 4-drops are really weak in this game right now. So having a really nice tempo on play going first 4-drop, really like that. So Remy and Rami is there. Then we have another really strong 4-drop that plays super well into our early game fighter collection, right? The Edelweiss Sage Light Ward, 4-drop 2/2 on play Earth Rite 2. Evolve this follower, and then on evolve she's going to whenever this follower evolves, so that does not mean you have to use the evo point, right? It's like you play this, you Earthright, and then you evolve and you get this effect. You deal 4 damage to a random enemy follower and recover 2 play points. So basically, if you spend 2 Earthrights, she's a 2-drop 4/4 that dealt 4 damage to something. Insane card for that early game, right? Do you see even some spell boost decks playing this? Because they're kind of going into this mix of dirt and spell boost, right? But of course, we're playing pure Earthright, so this card is really nice. Just being a 2-cost 4/4 Evo that deals 4 is really nice to combo with some of our later cards like Norman. Being able to play this really helps you get some greedy Norman effects. Like, hey, if you play this and you clear the board, assuming you also evolve Norman and clear the board with him, right? You can kind of get greedy and go, well, I might need to normally heal 8 here, but I can heal 3 or heal 4 and then draw 3, right? So really like this combo of card. Obviously, you need 4 Earthrights for that, but that's not too hard to get in this deck, right? Because we're getting so much Earthrights. But really like Edelweiss, one of the stronger pieces in this deck. Then we have Enchanting Perfumer. I was definitely wrong about this card. I said in the card review, right, I don't play Earth Rite a ton, so I might be wrong. But this card is really good. Enchanting Perfumer is going to be 4-drop 3/3. On play, I think this is a girl. She's going to select an enemy file on the field and deal 3 damage, and you gain an Earth Sigil. And then on evolve, you're going to do that effect again. So again, another one of these fairly okay statted bodies that remove. That is the key to Earth Rite, is all of these really nice bodies that come down and do an effect to remove the board and keep your board nice and healthy and big, right? Very similar to Puppets in that way. I do think Puppets obviously has Orcus. You don't have like an Orcus level closer, but you do have kind of an Orcus level power card in Norman, right? So, but yeah, Enchanting Perfumer, really nice card. Gonna get you those Earth Rites. I love that she doesn't cost any Earth Rites either. She's just damage, Evo, more damage, right? And then you get stacks and stuff. So really like Enchanting Perfumer. Then we have the Juno set 1 sort of Earth Rite payoff, right? 5-drop 3/3 on play, nuke something. But on play, she's going to deal X damage to a enemy follower on the field equal to the amount of Earth Sigils you have. So you're going to nuke something, especially early on like that. You can kind of think about like a Zirconia board, right? Playing this into a Zirconia board. You kill Zirconia and then you Evo this. And then the Evo effect is going to give you a crest. And the crest is countdown 3. At the end of your turn, Earth Rite 1, summon a Guardian Golem. The Guardian Golems, of course, are those 3/3 wards. So you're basically getting 3 3/3s after you evolve this. And again, just getting more of that board, those stats on your own side of the board that are not just vanillas. They have ward, right? So against these kind of aggressive-leaning decks, really hard to deal with. That is sort of one of the keys to Earth Rite Rune is, like I said, killing their board and making your own big board that's kind of awkward and hard to deal with. Juno, really, really strong card. Then we have, it feels so like nasty to play this card in a non-spell boost deck, but the Anangrea is so broken and of course plays into our sort of removal but big body, big board deck, right? So we all know what Anangrea does. I don't need to explain it. But in this deck, it's way more for the removal and that insane turn 5 tempo play. Then we have Norman the Man. He is nuts. 6-drop 5/5, Earth Rite 1, select a mode to activate. Mode 1, summon a Guardian Golem and give it Barrier. So that's going to be those 3/3 wards. And it's going to get Barrier, which is really hard to deal with for a lot of decks. 2, draw 3 cards. Drawing 3 is absurd in this deck. That is one of the issues Earth Rite had in set 1, is you just run out of steam, run out of gas way too fast. And thankfully we have a really strong card to help with that in the Norman. And also in the Melvi, right? Because Melvi being a 2-drop 2/2 that gives you a card that draws a card. Same thing, really like to have. And then on 3, probably one of the better, the best effects, heal 4 to your leader. So, of course, this card is going to, if you want to, heal 8, and you can basically get, 36 total healing in the deck, because you have 3 Sage Lights and 3 Normans if you activate the heal effect every time. But, of course, you don't always want to do that, right? I think one of the key things to learning this deck is going to be your ability to understand, like, okay, I'm at an okay health threshold right now. I don't need to heal. Let me push some board here. Let me push my 3/3 barrier or draw some cards and really threaten my opponent, because at this point of the game, the table has turned, especially against aggressive decks, right? You've hopefully held off the aggression, and now you're able to stabilize. You can go, you can go double healing, but you also might want to try to end the game a little bit faster, summoning a Guardian Golem, even drawing some cards into some of your late-game Storm stuff, like the Odin and the Kuan, right? So Norman, is just nuts. Probably one of the main reasons why Earth Rites is even viable right now. And yeah, Norman is very good. Then we move on to Odin. Odin, of course, is one of the best new cards. Neutral, 7-drop 4/2. Fanfare, select enemy follow on the field and banish it, and it gets Storm. This card just goes into all of these type of mid-range type decks. Not much else to say. You guys know what he does. Very strong card, especially for a deck like this that needs some sort of finishing power outside of the Kuan. Then we move on to Kuon, of course. When you read this card, imagine if this card did have Spell Boost. Like, it did not care about Spell Boost at all. This card would still be so nuts. But we all know Kuon, big, insane board to create on 7. And then on 10, you have that finisher. Obviously, you don't have the 7-drop, so it's always, most of the time, just going to be doing 10 storm damage. But that's still a lot. That's still a lot. And it's also a lot to deal with if you just play it, on 10, make a big barrier ward 10-10. Try to keep some of your other board alive and stuff. So, yeah, Kuon is just one of the best, finishers in this deck, but it also has that turn 7 application as well. Then last card, we have one Little Anthem. Little Anthem is one of the new Earth Rite cards. I do think this card is just a little weak. I think it's nice into those real grind control matchups. Sword is one of the matchups, the grindy mid-range sword that this card is good into. Of course, one card I would love to think about adding is the Grimnir. You could maybe cut Remy and Rami and go add another Little Anthem and then maybe 2 Grimnirs to have some more on curve turn 3s. And Little Anthem, if you super evolve it, will probably be sticking around for a while because it's really hard to for your opponent to spend a lot of resources swinging into the 8/8. And then you still have the 5/5 that comes back, right? So if you pair that with Grimnir, really like that. But yeah, I think right now it's just a one-of. It's only good in a couple matchups, and I do think this deck is kind of aimed against aggressive decks. So I think that's why you wouldn't want to play too many of these. I might need to sneeze. Hold on. No, we're good. We're good. No sneeze. Okay, we're good. Lil Anthem, like it. You got to just play it in there. Got to, threaten the Lil Anthem. Sometimes this can just checkmate some games. It plays really well into the style of deck. But I do think you can brick on it. I think it comes down a turn later than it maybe should. I think it being a 7 cost would be fine. But yeah, that is the deck list. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. We're going to go into a replay review. And I'm going to show you guys a game I played of this deck a couple hours ago. And yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Hope you try Earth Rite Rune. I think it's kind of a low-key sleeper deck for some tournaments if you guys are in SVO. I think it could have some pretty good matchups, especially since it's open deckless now. We know that it's open deckless, so this could easily be a good second to play and maybe scare your opponent off of some decks. And if they have a great lineup for this deck, maybe they're going aggro sword, aggro blood, or aggro abyss. I haven't done that in a while. This is a pretty easy pick. So, yeah, gonna go into the replay review. Hope you guys enjoy that, and I will see you guys there. Bye-bye. All right, here we are on the replay review. We are playing against Portal, and we're going second. And this hand is exactly why you want to play this deck. Nice, consistent, early game plays into that crazy tempo with the Annangrea. This is pretty much just an auto keep, especially in the Portal. We, of course, don't really know what if he's Puppets or Artifact. I would lean more towards probably Puppet right now. So we're just going to keep this, right? We have a turn 1 play. We have 2 2-drops. And then, of course, we have our turn 4 coin, the Annangrea, or extra play point, the Annangrea. So we're pretty much fine being able to just go our turn 3 being a 2-drop, right? So that's why we keep this hand. We don't want to be greedy trying to look for, well, we don't really even have a 3-drop in our deck, but the best thing we could get was a Melvy, but we're not going to risk that. We have a 2-drop. We're fine. Let's, lock in, keep this hand, and yeah, we have an easy curve from 1 through 5. So you can go pass on turn 1. We're going to draw the Kuon. Nice addition for our late game, potentially, end of the game if he is Artifact, and we can kind of grind the game out, right? I guess Puppets grinds the game out pretty well, too. We go Witch's New Brew, draw a card, draw our second Annangrea, so we have a nuts turn 4 into turn 5, right? They go Ruby, searching for something, probably. Then we're going to play out the Penelope, and we do this instead of the Apprentice Astrologer for a couple reasons. One, we don't have any cards we want to throw back yet, right? Because all of our cards are pretty nice, right? We have all of the, we got all the power cards in the deck right now, right? In our hand. So, we don't want to really throw anything back. And then the second thing is that now that we have Penelope, we open the option up for us to draw into our 3-drop spell and be able to nuke his board on 3, which is probably a better play than playing out our fighter and kind of doing nothing, especially because Portal has a lot of good tempo plays. They can either play Grimnir or Yudi, which is kind of scary. So being able to blow their board up and take our, sort of tempo back, especially because they probably will want to swing our face instead of trading because they are ahead, they're going first, and that is the privilege of going first. So they're going to play out that Yudi, like I said, and then they're going to go face, which I think is the right play. Now, we are going to draw into another Norman, so now we are pretty okay with throwing the Norman back, because we want to go like 5, 5, 6, 7 into the Kuan, and we're not really going to have a ton of options to play that Norman, and we're looking for some more cards, maybe like an Odin and stuff, to finish some games if they are not able to answer our back-to-back Anne and Greya. So we're fine just throwing the Norman back, and also we want all of our other cards anyway. And then, we get the Penelope again, and we're just going to have to trade over the Ruby because it's too scary to take that much damage and basically go to 13. So we're going to trade and then stack, so we're at 5 stacks now. Thankfully, his turn is not crazy. It's not like the fighter or whatever. He just goes 2-drop, 2-drop. And he does, I think you do go face here, but does he, maybe a little greedy, not killing the 2-2, right? But we're just easy, slam coin Anne and Greya, clear the board, push 2 face, and now we have a really hard board for him to deal with here. Because we're going to have a 6-4 and a 2-2 hiding behind a 5-3 ward. Of course, there are options to try to clear this. He has an enhanced puppet and a normal puppet in his hand right now. He is going to go ahead and try to clear it. He plays Yudi, Evo, which is kind of interesting. He just wants to get a little bit of healing, and it probably was his best option to kill the Anne and Greya, right? And he passes, so we still have this 2-2. This 2-2's been sticking around for a while, and that's the power of the Anne and Greya, right? They have to swing into this sort of temporary ward. It's really hard to deal with. This card's just so broken. So we play another one, and here I was thinking, do I evolve? But we drew the second Norman again, so we're just like, well, we have an easy, curve of, Norman, Evo, Kuan, Super Evo, right? And then that's all our Evos. So there's no reason to really push this. If he wants to, he can go Noah here, Evo, and clear the board. And that uses all his puppets, so we're fine there. Evoing here doesn't really matter, and it would be great if he, most of his answers to this board are Evo effects. So us getting ahead of the Evo economy is really nice, and it's just not worth the 2 damage because there are ways for him to clear this board, right? So we're just going to go, okay, 2 damage, pass, we're good. We're not really looking to super end the game. If we had a couple Odins in hand, I would see us maybe going Evo, swing face, because, we just need to try to end the game fast. But he's just going to go Sylvia, Evo. And this astrologer has lived for, 3 turns now? Really nuts. And then we draw into a really interesting card here. The Remy and Rami. So we saw him play the Sylvia, right? Use an Evo point. And Puppets really does, sometimes really like to keep the Evo points in hand. Or not in hand, but, keep the Evo points in general, right? So we have some options. So we could go Norman, Evo, summon 2 Guardian Golems. That would be nice, right? We could also, summon a Guardian Golem and then draw some cards or maybe even heal. Kind of like that as well. But I think the best play here is going to just be pushing this board. He already used Sylvia. If he wants to answer our board, he can Super Evo another Sylvia. And we're going to actually, I think, end up playing the Remy and Rami. So we're going to make a 7-7 and an 8-8 ward. Clear the Sylvia. Push 2 damage. Basically 3 damage because of the Super Evolve effect, right? Then we're going to play another 2-drop. Swing in. And now we're also in a nice spot where if we top deck Anathema, Lil Anthem, we're in a really nice spot to just... She's going to survive, a bunch of times, right? So they're going to have to come down, answer this board, probably use a Super Evo, and then go and have to also answer a little anthem. Obviously, they can do that with the Orcus, but then by then, they will have no play or no evil points, right? Because they're going to... Basically, the only way to clear this board is with a Super Evo, so they have to go Sylvia Super Evo, right? And then they would have to go Orcus Super Evo, right? So, kind of see how we can try to... these little, like, plays and stuff to get evil points out of them, right, is really nice and really helps us win in the long run. And I think that's one of the keys to winning a lot of these, like, mid-range versus mid-range matchups is, you know, making it so that your opponent has really awkward turns and has to overspend to clear their board, to clear your board, right? So they go Odin. They're going to banish the ward and just... He's full sending it. So now we know, like, I think he has some Orcuses in hand, right? So we have an option here, and I want to show this before we draw our card, right? So most of the time what we can do is we can go, since he kind of super overcommitted right there, we can go Norman, heal, Evo, heal again, and then Sage-like heal with the coin. And we basically win the game there because we just healed 12. They super overextended. The only way for them to clear this board is with an Orcus. I guess maybe like some, like a bunch of cards out of hand with the medical grade assassin, right? Because they can do that, and then some enhanced puppets or normal puppets to our 2/2s. And then we also have the option to like super Evo the Norman to make it even harder to deal with. But of course, we do have that Kuan in hand that we'd really love to super evolve. And also, if he does Orcus, he can just clear it pretty easily no matter what. So that is like probably going to be our play. But funny enough, we top deck into the Odin. And this is what I was talking about with some of our, you know, in our deck profile, right? Is Earth Rite is so interesting because it's able to have this really nice control early game. And then in the late game, it's like, oh, I just have lethal. I just have 11 damage on board with 7 damage out of hand. And he explodes. And it's really hard to deal with, right? That's why I really like the Remy Ramy. I think that is a really nice addition to this deck. And again, we drew the Remy Ramy later, right, on 6. But even early on 4, if we go first, right, 3/3 ward with a 4/4 behind it is really hard to deal with, like we know, because of Anangrea, right? So you kind of think of it as like a weird sort of non-removal Anangrea, right? So... but yeah, we just have lethal with the Odin because we have 11 on board. And then, of course, Odin is going to super evolve into a 7 attack to clear 18 health in 1 turn. And all of that was because we just kept forcing removal out of his hand, right? Because on 6, they had to Sylvia, right? And on 7, because of our Anangrea. And then on 7, they didn't have a good answer. They just said, well, I just got to hope he doesn't have Norman or any heal and explode him, right? I do wonder what his hand was. Maybe he could have, when Odin super evolved, clear this and sort of continue the game. We have insane gas in our hand, though, because we would have been at, what, 14 at that point because we take 1 for the Super Evo. So we probably go, like, say, we probably go Norman, normal Evo, I would think. Clear, probably heal twice, maybe heal, draw some, clear that. I guess we do draw Odin there, too, though, so... We probably just Odin him back. I don't know, but obviously that's a different scenario, right? So that is the game. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys try this deck out. I actually really like this. This is a deck that I am kind of in the back of my mind thinking about it for SVO, but I do kind of have my SVO decks kind of already locked in. But definitely a deck I want to try some more after the big tournaments because I think there's something there. Same with Amulet Haven. Amulet Haven is another deck that I'm really... interested in sort of making work and trying to get make it as good as possible, right? So that is the game. It's funny looking at this end board state. I wonder if we would have won even faster pre-evoing or actually spending the evo on the Apprentice Astrologer. Maybe that was, maybe not necessarily a misplay, but that was just a different path I could have taken. I think with the cards in my hand, like I kind of talked about, I think it wasn't a good idea, but then we did top deck the Remy Ramy to give us that aggressive push, and then we also top deck the Odin to finish the game. So, just things to think about. I think this deck is really simple, but has a lot of interesting things you can do to master it, and yeah, I really like it. All right, have a good one, guys. Sorry about my voice, or my coughing. But yeah, I'll see you guys later. Hope you guys enjoyed, and yeah, see ya.